Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Capricorn energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread again. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everyone in their Capricorn energy is at different stages of life and emotional maturity. And so they're going to harness this energy differently and make different decisions in their life based on kind of the lessons they've learned in life. And, we all have our more worldly, immature nature, which can be our pride and our ego and our fear, insecurity, codependency, self-centeredness, more indulgent, codependent, materialistic, something nature, right? And some people could have detached from more of those ways of being because they learn that things don't work out for them if they have that, and they learn better and they do better, and then that's no longer a part of the way they choose to act and conduct themselves in the world. But other people still think those are the way to go, that'll work, and that is what they think is just and fair. So, this might be something particular that might be going on for people who are Capricorn sun sign or have significant Capricorn placements. But if it's happening in Capricorn energy, we all tap into Capricorn energy, and we're all dealing with other people who all tap into Capricorn energy. And we're kind of looking for people who have learned some of the same lessons we've learned. I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy. A lot of people can present themselves in the world like, I'm this stable, grounded, smart, intelligent, have these certain education or traits or qualities or assets or whatever. You should work with me, you should date me, you should marry me. But then you find out they really don't. They might look the part, but they really haven't kind of emotionally grown and matured themselves. People can present themselves any way they want to in the world, but is that really the truth of who they are emotionally? So, at the end of the reading, we have the Queen of Wands, and the way I read tarot is that the masculine figures can represent how we're taking action in the world and how we're presenting ourselves in the world, but the feminine figures talk about how we really think and feel. And the Queen of Wands is Leo energy. We either really are who we say we are. Leo is also represented by the sun. We're authentic, we're loving, we're encouraging, inspired by balance. The Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. In my Capricorn energy, I am balanced. I have offered love and inspiration to my more worldly, shadowy nature to be more aligned with and inspired by my more loving, intuitive nature, so I keep my more shadowy nature in check. And then there's other people, it's flipped the opposite. They are more about their ego. The Six of Wands is also Leo energy. I am more inspired by my ego, my image, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego. And then in their more shadowy Capricorn Two of Pentacles, they think they can keep juggling the truth, kind of being two-faced in the world. I'll just go present myself as harnessing high vibe Capricorn, but I really, truth and love and justice and fairness isn't the driving factor in my life. It's more me and how it benefits me. So, this card is the card I've used the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Nine of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, which also kind of has to do with our truth. Are we more aligned with our more worldly nature? Virgo, like Capricorn, is their sign energy. Or have we become independent? Because Virgo talks about, we're either more about the world or we become independent from our more worldly nature, where we're more inspired. High vibe energy is about balance, temperance, justice, fairness. But, some people are more tipped out of balance and they're more about themselves and these things of the world than maybe listening to their more creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature. So, in our Capricorn energy, our Virgo energy, our Leo energy, are people more motivated? Is their truth, they're more about themselves, their ego, their image? Or are they someone who's tempered their ego, High vibe Virgo's about learning lessons in life. Leo's about being illuminated to the truth, seeing where you need to grow and heal and mature yourself, get out of your more ego nature. If you want to move forward with people in the Two of Cups and Cancer energy of love, and people are going to go invest in getting in relationships with other people based on what they love. But the thing is, some shadowy people, they want to be in relationships with loving people and have those loving people indulge them in their ego, like trying to manipulate their loving nature to get them to indulge them in their poor behavior. And some loving people have already learned that lesson from other relationships, and they're not doing that anymore. It just depends on where we're at in the story, right? So what's going on in Capricorn energy? We have the Death card, the Three of Swords, and the Two of Swords. High vibe people are becoming independent of something. And things could have changed in their life, right? Maybe some people, they viewed the Two and the Three of Swords as Libra energy. Some people could have been dealing with a Libra, but you could have also just been dealing with people that you thought would be more just and fair. And then you could have found out that they really weren't more just and fair or balanced. And maybe they really don't want to see the truth. Maybe they don't want to do love. And maybe they'd really rather be single. And maybe be more about themselves or their ego or their image, or want to go get in another different job, friendship, or relationship more because of the ego or the image. Because if love isn't what drives and motivates people, if they're in relationships with people who are driven and motivated by love, those people try to offer them love and encouragement to work through. The Death card is Scorpio energy, and it's about our deep emotional connections with people and our emotional confusion. And the way we transform our life to move forward in life differently is to work through our past pain and heartbreak and our emotional confusion, so it isn't clouding our judgment, and we can more connect in with our intuition, is what the Two of Swords can talk about, is listening to your intuition. And some high vibe people did that within themselves. We've all had relationships not work out the way we wanted. We've had jobs that didn't work out the way we wanted. We could have dealt with people who harnessed a more shadowy Scorpio energy. I mean, we live in a world of duality. There's loving and encouraging and supportive people in the world, and then there's people in the world who are a little bit more egotistical, manipulative, and shadowy. And people can be intimidating and controlling. They can be hurtful and unkind. They can be prideful, manipulative, egotistical, do foolish things in relationships. And it can all be confusing. It can all be hurtful. The difference is the high vibe people did work through it throughout their, not like at age 8 or 12 or 15. It takes time, and we have lots of things that we might not even realize how certain things manipulate us. We want to be in relationships with people. The Two of Cups and the Four of Wands can talk about, we want to be in relationships with people. We, want to come together with others in joy and celebration. We want people to like us and move forward with us. And, we've all went through friendships and relationships with people where it didn't quite work out that way. Some people were intimidating, controlling. Some people have past pain and heartbreak that could make them shadowy. Leo can just be that you're more defensive. And so they can sometimes just be more defensive in relationships, in workplaces. They could be more fearful of love. They could take action more out of their defensive nature or their egoic nature. There's some people in the world that decided, I don't have to deal with my past pain and heartbreak. If something didn't work out, I don't even want to deal with the truth of why it didn't work out. In my ego, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Well, the problem with that is Virgo is kind of about those things we like to keep hidden in the dark and things we do keep hidden in the dark. It still influences us and how we act in our life and the decisions that we make and how we conduct ourselves in the world and in relationships, right? The truth in the Ace of Swords is what sets us free to move forward in life differently, authentically. High Vibe Leo is about authenticity. The High Vibe people had their fair share of hurtful situations in their life. But they were kind of, with the 2 fire signs here, it's kind of like something didn't work out. I was heartbroken. I could have felt stuck. I don't want that to happen again. So I want to get to the truth. And so they're inspired, both the 4 of Wands and the Fool card of Aries energy, like Leo is fire sign energy. I am inspired in Virgo energy to get to the truth. If I don't want that to happen again, I need to see where I contributed to that not working out. I have to look at those things within myself. Why, if there was something wrong with it from the beginning, what wasn't I seeing the truth of? Was I more caught up in my codependency and my ego and my want for these things of the world that I didn't maybe listen to my intuition? Well, I better start listening to my intuition. And how many times did something not work out in our life? We were heartbroken. We felt kind of stuck. The truth is, we wanted to be in a relationship. Then we could have met someone who we could have been attracted to, could have seemed like we had a lot of things in common, moving forward in the same way. And we took a leap of faith to go get in a relationship with someone where we really didn't know the truth about them, and the 2 of Pentacles, about what their truth was and what their dreams were and what drove and motivated them. And they really didn't know what our truth was and what drove and motivated us. And there really could have been a part of us that was saying, I don't think you're ready to do this yet. I think you should maybe keep your distance and maintain balance within yourself until you kind of do get to know each other more. The Wands can talk about communication. The Swords can talk about communication. And Virgo energy is kind of learning these things about each other to find out, really if we do want to move forward, if we're kind of more balanced. The 6s can talk about more balance. The 2 of Pentacles and the 2 of Cups can talk about balance. Where are we in this viewpoint of how we want to move forward between our more maybe emotionally loving, intuitive nature and being more inspired by the world? Because, some people could be completely like, I'm 100% more into the world, and other people are 98. Some people are 80. Some people are 70. Some people are 50-50. Some people are tipped the other way. I'm all about love, and I'm not practical or grounded at all. It's all about learning these lessons so that hopefully, are we kind of on the same page? We could get along if you're 70% more about the world and I'm more 70% about love. We're equally kind of tipped out of balance, and we can get along in a relationship, but we're both equally out of balance. And the problem is, as time goes by and people might get more balance within themselves, or one person might get more balanced, and they kind of want to move forward in a more balanced way than a more imbalanced way. Kind of when we could have gotten in some relationships more out of pain or heartbreak or fear or insecurity, or taken a job that just because we needed a job, eventually we might not want to keep staying in it. But sometimes we can get in relationships with people, and there's ways, that we can help each other to work through some of our fears and our insecurities and our past pain and heartbreak. And then it's kind of like We wouldn't have probably viewed it that way at the time or when it ended. But it could have been a way that we each were able to give each other what we needed to kind of get us back up on our feet again in the Nine of Pentacles so that we could go on our way. And we might find that once we kind of both feel more stable and grounded within ourselves, then we kind of might realize that, you know, this relationship helped me get more grounded, work through some of my issues. This relationship might have helped you feel more grounded, helped you work through some of your issues. But then sometimes we kind of realize that we did kind of get in a more mismatched relationship. One person could be someone who really, it isn't more love that drives and motivated them, but they could have gotten in a relationship with a more loving person that could have helped them get over something because they were in a relationship with a loving, nurturing person. The other person who was more loving, maybe they needed someone who was just more grounded to help them get more grounded. And so then in a way, it kind of helps recalibrate everybody in a way. And both people are changed. Even though we might find out that how we want to move forward in life is differently. Because the one person, again, could be, some people are more motivated and inspired by hope and faith and belief in their dreams and love. Other people, not so much. They get hurt doing that. Maybe don't believe in it. And it really is that they kind of use their emotions or their sexuality and their charm and their money and all these things more manipulatively. And then there's the people that still haven't picked a path. In our free will, we can either choose this or we can choose that. But there are some people that are still juggling. And that can be a trait of people in their Libra energy. And everybody taps into Libra energy. There comes a time where we kind of have to pick a path. But some people pick their path. Nope, I'm more about these things of the world or me. I already know that. That's my truth. And they could have decided that at some time when they were young and nothing was able to change their mind. Other people, maybe from the time they were young, always had a more hopeful, believing spirit and in love, right? And then there could have been the other people in the world that's like, I kind of like both at different times. Sometimes I like this and I like this, and I kind of like to go back and forth, and I haven't decided. Well, for some of those people, some of those types of people could have gotten in relationships with different types of people, and they could have had both of those different kinds of people move on. Because again, we're kind of looking for people who are kind of more on the same page as us. And the people who want to come together with people who are more inspired by love and being just and fair and balanced with each other, that you have your truth, I have my truth, I have my dreams, you have your dreams. We will work together, like respecting each other as individuals, and we will work together, having our common goal, but then realizing everyone has their own individual kind of goals, right? And we're okay with that. Some other people in the world, nope, I want to come together with people I'm more inspired by these things of the world, a little bit more about ego and image. And if they have found the people in their life who that is their truth, they're moving forward with those people. And some of the people who've been juggling, they weren't willing to commit to either path. And some of those people could feel really stuck, and they're still in two minds. Well, I did like the loving people in my life, because just like we have our dualistic nature, we have different people in our life who kind of represent those ways of being in the world, and we have free will to align with, the more high vibe, encouraging, loving people, the more worldly people who might more manipulate us in our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our codependency and staying in our comfort zone. And some people feel stuck as like, well, I really like the loving people because they were loving and encouraging and supportive, but the only problem is, if it's not authentically who you are always kind of juggling the truth, and you really haven't detached from your more worldly view of life, and you're still kind of more tempted by it. You know, other people have moved on in life and they're kind of not tempted by an old way of living life anymore because they kind of learned the lesson they were meant to learn from it. They made their choice. They picked up their investment in an old way of living life, is what the Two of Pentacles can talk about. And now I'm maintaining my balance as I move forward, facing my fears to move forward in life differently. And I don't have an interest in repeating an old way of living life. But some people didn't really learn the lesson, and that could be people who live more from their mind than their heart, and maybe a little bit more from their ego, where can't. And also, Libra energy can be like a person's public politician aspect of self. Like, I want people to view me a certain way, and I want to get along with all these people, and I want to, maybe so I have more options, or just so that people kind of view me a certain way, but they're kind of not really living their authentic life. And some of them might not even still really know themselves very well to even know what they really stand on, because it is always trying to appease people, and oh, like they want me to be this way. Okay, when I'm with these people, I'll act this way. And then when I'm with these people, I'll act this way. And then when I'm with these people, I'll kind of act this way. And it's kind of the two Aries cards here in the middle. Aries energy is about the self. And some people could have the idea, if I just don't really even get to know myself and what I really stand for, and just people haven't even maybe realized that, you need to get clear about what you really stand for and what your truth is. But that cannot be how some people view life, that it is maybe shadowy Libra. And again, you don't have to be dealing with a Libra sun sign. Anybody in their Libra aspect of self, it could be this thing of always trying to present yourself a certain way so that other people will work together with you, be in relationship with you, be in friendship with you. But kind of the problem is that other people kind of do know what their truth is. And then their intuition could tell them that, as time goes by, that it doesn't really seem to be authentically the truth of some of these people who, I guess it's coming across to me like people who, I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to pick a path. It's kind of like whatever comes along, which is kind of a little different than people who are going with the flow and listening to their intuition. Instead of them having to do the work within themselves to figure out what they want, we all do get in relationships with other people, and it's all to help us get more clear about our truth. But some people never get clear about their truth. And it's always kind of like, I don't want to deal with my past pain and heartbreak. I don't want to deal with the truth. I want to stay in denial of the truth. I'm going to keep moving forward. And then it's kind of what maybe whatever might come along that seems to be like, okay, I think I can work with that. Then they get involved in it. Maybe if it seems to work and it's good for their ego and their image, but again, it's like, what's your truth? And some of these people, it's kind of like shadowy Aries energy can be, well, so long as it works for me, so long as it's kind of enjoyable, so long as it's good for my ego and my image. And it's kind of just like indulging themselves in the relationship, though. but I still don't want to get clear about my truth, well, then they move forward with people in the world that they have their truth. I'm either more about this or I'm more about that. And they still haven't picked a path. And then other people in their life, whether they're more high vibe or more worldly, kind of feel like these people are just juggling. It's like, what's your truth? And eventually, because the other people feel like these people have issues they haven't worked through to be more authentic and clear about their truth, the other people pick up their investment in them and move on in their truth. And then there's some of these people in the world that still don't want to see the truth, still want to stay in denial of the truth, is what the Two of Swords can talk about. Well, then I guess they're just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens next. And if what happens next seems to work out and seem to be okay, they'll move forward with that. But they still don't want to pick a path. Let's ask, why do some people not pick a path, don't want to pick a path? Well, I guess with these cards coming next, it could be that they want to maybe not really commit because they are a little bit more about themselves, because again, Aries energy is about the self. And so, let's see, the Tower. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. Well, again, the Queen of Wands can represent our are we more aligned with our hopeful believing nature, being more authentic, or kind of hiding behind our ego, trying to create an illusion that we're being more authentic? And the Tower talks about seeing the truth of something in their foundation. Yeah. That they might want to maybe again keep their options open and just, if this comes up and this works out, I move forward with that. But then if I'm moving forward with that and then something else comes up that I think I might want to go indulge in, I might want to go see how that works out, then I want to go do that. So it can be where they're just a little bit more about, or a lot more about themselves. And they also could be, the truth is that they really don't have more confidence in themselves or in love or trust others. And until, well, it starts within themselves, they need to get out of being more, there's a reason why they're like this, and it could be just because emotionally, Scorpio talks about that we're emotionally complex human beings. They find that confusing. I will use my emotions as I need to present myself more, create this illusion about myself so people will get in a relationship with me. But the truth is, I'm defensive to being hurt because I've maybe been hurt before, but because I haven't dealt with it and really worked through it, I could just not trust anybody anymore, which is too bad because whatever type of people they dealt with, not everybody is like that in the world. But because they could have had people in their life, just like the rest of us, that were more intimidating, more controlling, maybe indulge them in their more egoic nature. So now some of them could be kind of full of themselves. They still think and everybody should treat them that way, and kind of immature in that way. But whatever it is, either overindulged or not treated in a more just and fair and balanced way, they could have decided that because there's some truth they don't want to see about other people in their life who were manipulative and controlling, who they could have loved, who they could have looked up to, but those people were kind of two-faced. And Scorpio can be where we kind of have a hard time reconciling, because Scorpio talks about that we're these emotionally complex people, and I can feel this way about someone and equally feel like I love them, I hate them. I don't want to ever talk to them again. I hope they call me tomorrow. And it's hard to work through that emotional confusion. And so some people decided I have so many contradictory feelings about some people in my life that instead of dealing with it, I just think I can just like ignore it. But that is taking more action out of ego, and it impacts the action that they take in a relationship. And so because of some of these fears or insecurities or things they don't want to see about themselves, even if it's they're the more emotionally shallow, superficial, intimidating, controlling, competitive person, they don't want to see the truth of it. But whatever it is, when they get in relationships with people, when it gets to them becoming, and it kind of challenges them to align with their more loving, hopeful, believing nature and become independent either of their self-protective, egoic nature, or it kind of challenges and triggers up their fear and their insecurities, they kind of take some foolish action because of these things that manipulate them that aren't conducive to a relationship moving forward. And then the people they're in relationship with see that they kind of repeat some patterns or some ways of being that aren't conducive to a relationship moving forward. And it can hurt other people and it confuses other people. And it could just be that other people are trying to move something forward, but because some people can't decide if they really want to invest and kind of put in work and effort to move something forward, it's like they want it to keep, can't we just keep moving forward like this and just juggling the truth because I haven't decided. Well, the same thing that happens in relationships sometimes happens in workplaces where people have been loving and encouraging, we're moving forward like this, are you coming with? And they're like, well, I haven't really decided, or I want you to think I've decided, but then I kind of don't really put in the work and effort because I have some type of inner conflict about more authentically putting in work and effort. I want to create the illusion I'm putting in work and effort, but it could be I kind of want to indulge myself in this relationship. How about all of you put in the work and effort and I get to come with and reap the benefits? And eventually some of the high vibe people in their life are like, we've seen it over and over. We've been loving and encouraging and supportive, trying to work things out. But the difference between the 9 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles is the 7 of Pentacles. And that's kind of your philosophy of life about what you want to invest your time, energy, and effort into. And again, to move forward in life, you have to be willing to put in work and effort. If you want to reap kind of the rewards, you should expect that you should have to put work and effort in. But some people think, well, can't I get the job or get in the relationship and work with people who are inspired to put in work and effort? And then I can just sit here and stay in denial, move with them, kind of enjoying the perks and the benefits of it. But I don't really have to put in work and effort because I haven't really decided if I want to put in work and effort. I mean, it's like having people at a job that kind of do the minimum. versus having people that you work with who are inspired by their job, feel satisfaction from doing a job well done. They take pride in their work, high vibe Leo energy, are inspired to learn and grow and heal. And other people are like, you know, you know, I want to stay in it because it's got some benefits, but it's not like I want to put in that much work and effort, And eventually people can be like, I'm done. I see the truth. I'm no longer stuck. I've worked through the heartbreak, the feeling stuck. The thing is, high vibe people can feel proud of themselves because they offered love and encouragement to people to move forward with them. They can be proud of themselves. They can take those traits and characteristics with them. They can pick up their investment in these jobs, friendships, and relationships, and they can go be a loving, nurturing, supportive person to other people. And it's just kind of weird how, when you don't think like a more shadowy person in a way, that it's almost like, well, I don't want to put in, like as if it would really get them in their ego. There is no guarantees when we get in any relationship if it is going to work out and we're going to move forward victoriously or successfully, or if we're going to end up in heartbreak. It is a leap of faith, and we have to be bold and brave and confident within ourselves that no matter what happens, I know my worth and value. I can pick myself back up again. Will it hurt? Yes. High vibe Scorpio is exploring the mysteries of life emotionally. I want to explore the mysteries of life. If I want the highs, I'm going to experience the lows. If I want to do lukewarm and stay more emotionally shallow and superficial, well, then I don't have the highs, but I also might not have the lows. And that can be people who operate more from their defensive egoic nature. They don't really more authentically let them invest in relationships to experience more of the highs, but then they also could feel it stops them because they didn't more authentically emotionally invest in people. They created the illusion, I'm emotionally invested, but I'm really not. I kind of live more from my mind than my heart, stay in my defensive posture, indulging myself in the relationship, but it's like as if every day they tell themselves, no, 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 if this person left, it wouldn't bother me at all. And how do those people act and function in a relationship versus people who are motivated and inspired to invest? And that's what they might not realize. They want to move forward in relationships. They want things to maybe move forward in a way that's victorious and successful. But because they juggle and they're not willing to deal with the truth and how it impacts how they act in a relationship, and eventually other people realize, I do think you're just kind of more indulging in this relationship. So long as it works for you and it's good for your ego and your image, but you're not really required to be one of the people who puts in the work and effort to move it forward in a more authentic, loving, just, and fair way. You rely on other people to do that, and then you think you can just sit back and indulge yourself in it. Well, eventually some other people say, I'm done. And some people might be going through that right now. People are done feeling heartbroken and stuck. They have been trying to move these things forward, and some of the people in their life are like, nope, I want to keep doing this. And then they think, because they have these things that manipulate them, that they don't ever work through and kind of free themselves from, that kind of the more loving, encouraging people in their life who they know actually are emotionally invested in them, have been loving and encouraging, wanted this dream to come into reality, that those people will have a hard time getting out of it and giving up on it because they're even emotionally invested in it and they've actually put in work and effort. But eventually the high vibe people work through it. I can only have my dream come into reality with other people who are in this energy with me. And I see the truth that some of these people in this workplace or friendship or whatever, that isn't their truth. So I need to see the truth because the truth sets us free. I need to believe in myself, listen to my more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired nature, to deal with the truth. And I need to become independent of these people because their truth is different than my truth. And I need people who we're kind of on the same page. We're kind of motivated and inspired by the same things. And if you're still going back and forth, can't decide what your truth is and if you want to invest in this or putting in work and effort, well, I'm going to let you go do that with someone else and go back and forth and wonder if you want to invest. I have seen the truth with, again, people can provide a loving and encouraging and supportive environment to people. But what some people don't get, the people who have been offered love and encouragement, is that they should use that environment to work through some of these issues within themselves and deal with some of their past pain and heartbreak or their ego or their defensive nature or whatever, because they've already probably had negative outcomes before, right? And again, we can't change other people. And this is just what the high vibe people in the world have done. Also, they're not asking people to do something they haven't done themselves. I had to see why I kept repeating certain patterns, why I kept indulging my more fearful nature, defensive nature, limiting self-belief nature, sabotaging myself, being more codependent, looking for other people to be the answer to my problems and to love me and believe in me. And I chose high vibe Leo to love myself, because since Leo energy representing high vibe and represented by the sun, I have to be the one to make the free will choice to align with my own loving, hopeful, believing nature. Be my own best mother, father, coach voice in my head, instead of staying in this more codependent or shadowy energy where I'm going out in the world trying to find people to love me and validate my worth and value. Some of those people are loving and nurturing, but if I haven't learned to love myself, I might reject them because if they love me, it's just like, what are you doing? I don't even love me. You know? I don't know if I trust your judgment or, and if we haven't learned to love ourselves and we diminish ourselves, kind of belittle and berate ourselves, then when we can get in relationships with loving people, we kind of almost find them as kind of like weak or codependent or I don't know. Whatever we kind of feel to ourselves in a negative way, in a disrespecting our loving nature or our intuitive, creative, inspired nature, we can negatively have feelings towards people who represent that in our world, who want us to be in that energy. And then there's other people who are loving and encouraging, and it helps us, when we're ready. And everybody's ready when they're ready. And we might know some people, they're not ready. But other people repeated a pattern enough times, got in relationships with people, maybe they like to be the loving and encouraging person. I'm going to help these people who are kind of more immature or defensive or prideful or egotistical or hurt to love and believe in themselves. And then it doesn't really work out because if they wanted to be that kind of person, they would already be that kind of person. And then people are like, ding, 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 ding. Why am I not just, now that I've kind of learned these lessons and I've went through enough hurtful experiences, I don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. I have come to respect myself and believe I do deserve love. And I'm going to go get in relationships with people who are just and fair and loving. And that I don't want to repeat this old pattern anymore. I don't want to try to get other people out of their ego or their fear or their insecurity. Can I be loving and encouraging to people for them to do that? Yeah. But now I'm not like going to get in a more involved relationship or marry them. It's like until you work through that, yeah, I can be a loving and encouraging person to all sorts of people. But before I got in more involved relationships with them, and when you're already kind of in a relationship with someone, some of those people could feel like they kind of got you trapped in a relationship, and that you got in a relationship with them being in whatever way of being they were being. And they kind of have no incentive to change because you're in the relationship with them and moving forward with them. Well, apparently you are willing to get in the relationship with me being this way. And that is who I am. You knew that, or came to know that. You kept moving forward with me, so I don't have to change. And other people are still in those kind of more mismatched relationships, and they're kind of juggling, wondering, why do I keep moving forward with these people who juggle? And other people are like, I'm done. And the people who do like to juggle, if people found out the truth of them and those people moved on, they're going in a new relationship, trying to juggle that person and repeating the same pattern with someone else. And then it's up for those people in their free will to decide, is this what I want to manifest? Do I want to be in a relationship where I keep juggling or where they keep juggling? Or am I ready to live my more authentic life and be bold and brave and confident and live my authentic truth, high vibe, worldly, or shadowy? I don't want to keep wearing a false mask. I don't want to keep living a false life. Be authentically who you are. Go get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as you. And if you like to juggle, go find other people who like to juggle, but quit trying to manipulate people to get them to do what you want. And the thing is, like the Death card is major arcana and the Tower is major arcana. It's kind of like the universe tries to get people to see the truth. Because we kind of in our not wanting to see the truth and in our ego, we think, no, 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 this is okay. I can keep doing this, or this will work out okay. We can all want to stay in denial of the truth, but the universe keeps trying, because the universe wants people to be free. It doesn't want them to be enslaved and imprisoned and confined and restricted. It wants them to deal with the truth, so it keeps trying to show us in our more mismatched situations that trying to get us to see the truth. What we're motivated and inspired by isn't the same. If one person is someone more motivated by love, some of the other people aren't. If some people are just and fair and authentic and try to love and encourage other people to love and believe in themselves, some of the other people aren't. If some people listen to their intuition and are more bold and brave to move forward in life, there's other people who never want to step out of their comfort zone. No, let's keep doing this. And you kind of battle against each other because your truth is different. How you want to move forward is different. A house divided can't stand. Eventually, it's probably going to fall apart. If your truths are different, what you're driven and motivated by, and how you view life and all that, or you're going to, we can always, pride comes before the fall, but death is coming. There will either be no love left in this relationship, no love or confidence within yourself, and you'll both be stuck in a situation that is just an illusion of looking victorious and successful, but it's not. And eventually both people can want to get out of it. And either the bold, brave, and confident people get out of it, or the more immature people, or at least the loving people, keep offering truth and love to try to make it work. But that isn't the truth of the more immature, shadowy people, and they kind of want what they want, and they want to feel better, and they want to maybe be indulged, and aren't as tempered in themselves. So odds are they will do something that will kind of reveal the truth of the foundation and what really drives and motivates them. And that's when some other people can't stay in denial of the truth anymore and they got to go. So, what's coming up? And this could be friends or family members. You could be, all the people in your life that do work with you in a more cooperative, inspired way are people you're going to keep moving forward with. As you keep moving forward in a more inspired, loving, balanced way, some of those people will bail because that's really not their truth. And it gets too hard to kind of maintain the illusion that it is. And it's all kind of happening because the universe is trying to shake up the puzzle board to get the mismatched pieces kind of broken apart so they can get in with the group of people that they could really build something with, complete a vision with. So, what's going on? High vibe people have emotionally detached from some old ways of being, people in their life who they know wanted to keep repeating that old pattern. That wasn't their truth. They've moved on. They've gotten in new jobs, friendships, or relationships. They've aligned with their more loving, hopeful, believing nature, maintaining balance within themselves, and they're moving forward in life differently. The truth set them free. And what they don't see coming, this card not showing itself, the Lover's card, the Three of Wands. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. So, the Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. We all can be tempted by the devil in our fear, our insecurity, our lust, our greed, our codependency, whatever it is. And high vibe people did this work within themselves to get more balanced within themselves. When you got more balanced within yourself, I kind of look at the Four of Wands as firing on all four cylinders, where before you could have given less importance to maybe your more creative, inspired, intuitive nature. No, no, no. I need to be more practical and grounded or something. But realizing that all four aspects of yourself are important: your heart, your mind, your truth, your unique talent, skills, and interests, your stability, your security, and your more creative, inspired, passionate nature. They're all equally important to really feel victorious in life. And sometimes, we have to sacrifice some things because life is about making these choices. And if we want the best likelihood of those things coming into reality, we need to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, being inspired to maintain balance within ourselves, and then investing our time, energy, and effort into other people who are doing that within ourselves, and quit kind of indulging people who have already shown us that that's not their truth. So you kind of freed yourself. And then we have the Lovers and the Three of Wands. Investing in from love of yourself to maintain balance within yourself, to believe in your dreams. And during this process, it helped you quit harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way. Some people could be wondering and see you moving forward very victoriously in a very balanced, loving way. And they don't understand how you're doing this. And it's because you're no longer harnessing this energy in a shadowy way. You're harnessing it in a more high vibrational way, and you detach from the people in your life who were harnessing it in a more shadowy way, which is the moon, it's Pisces energy. Some of you could have been dealing with a Pisces, but more so that you were dealing with people. You were caught up in the illusion of people and you weren't seeing the truth about them. And now you're not in illusion about them. You also could have been more caught up in some things of the world that kind of clouded your judgment. And even if it was like, I want to be single, I might not want to be in a more committed relationship or something, and realizing how it maybe could have been past pain and heartbreak or fear or whatever that was driving you, and the moon can represent fear. And you're not letting your more fearful, shadowy nature and other more fearful or intimidating or people trying to confuse you about the truth manipulate you anymore. Being inspired to get to the truth and love and believe in yourself and making the free will choice, I'm going to listen more to my hopeful, believing, loving nature and give myself what I wish other people would have given me and offer that to other people. And if other people want to move forward with me in that way, wonderful. If they don't, I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth of it. It's not their truth. And when I see people who already show me that isn't the kind of person they are, I'm going to wish them peace and I'm going to keep moving on. I'm not going to try to change people's philosophy of life. No more illusions. Everybody has free will. Everybody will invest their time, energy, and effort into what is more aligned with their truth. And the truth is, sometimes there are shadowy people in the world, that they are hurtful and unkind. They end relationships with us because they know how you want to move forward, and that's not their truth. And then they think, if I stop being in a relationship with you, you'll be hurt, you'll feel stuck, and I think you won't keep loving and believing in yourself, and you'll come back and do the relationship the way I want to do it. So people can be trying to manipulate you, and loving people wouldn't want to hurt you. Loving people wouldn't want to manipulate you. You know, if they were more emotionally mature, they'd be authentic and honest about their fears and insecurities about moving forward in life differently. And so you just kind of see the truth that they're not the type of person you want to be in a relationship with, because they take those risks to be more shadowy in how they go about things instead of being bold and brave enough to be more authentic and open and loving. And if you are being open and authentic and loving, you want other people who choose to be that way, and they might have to go on some journeys in life to learn some more lessons in life that you've already learned, that love is the answer. Being bold and brave enough to be vulnerable, to be authentic. But it's kind of weird what I started to talk about earlier is like, it's like some people, I think that if they were to be more authentic and loving, then if it didn't work, like as if they'd kind of be mad at themselves that they were authentic and loving. Like, I don't know, it's kind of such a weird way of thinking, and it's hard to relate to, but because why not be proud of yourself that you were authentic and loving? And that's where they kind of don't see that that's ego. There are no guarantees, and some people, it's like they're not willing to put themselves out there and be more authentic and loving just in case it doesn't work out. Like they'd feel like a fool. Why should I feel like a fool? Because what they don't see is the way they're going about it isn't working for them. But until they see through how this more egoic or immature or prideful or materialistic or whatever it is that drives them to get in relationships, it isn't, high vibe people are not going to keep indulging them in that way. So what do some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy not see coming? The Chariot, the Empress, the Death card, the Seven of Cups. And I guess that's because it has to do with this card that's not showing itself, which is the Two of Wands. Shadowy people keep trying to move forward in relationships, hiding that they kind of have an ulterior purpose, that it's more about them. They might want to be in relationships with people who harness high vibe Cancer, high vibe Libra Taurus, high vibe Scorpio and Scorpio. People who are more emotionally balanced and loving, who walk the talk, but they could think, I can stop them because they're a loving person. I kind of maybe think they're a sucker, and I can manipulate them. I can get them in a relationship, and because they have a hard time of emotionally detaching from people that they love, and they put in this work and effort to make a relationship work, and they keep having hope and faith and belief, it's kind of like they're a little bit in their ego nature, not willing to let it go, that I think I can get this person to kind of live a life of illusion with me. Because they're so loving and nurturing, that I can be a shadowy person who moves forward with a person who is authentic and loving. And then they harness these energies in a more shadowy way, presenting themselves as being a more emotionally balanced, stable, grounded, loving person in Cancer, Libra, and Taurus energy. But that's not really the truth of who they are. It's just like, I've learned these things from other people and how they act. Now I'm going to present myself as being that type of person. And then I'm going to go create this illusion with someone else. And I'm hoping if I can pull off a good enough illusion, I can kind of trap a loving person in a relationship who really doesn't realize that I still am not investing in love. I'm just creating a good illusion. So, high vibe people, don't be worried about people who are like that. You already probably know some people who you know do that. And you already found out the truth of it, and it helped get you out of being more naive and thinking everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And you've learned that some people aren't, no more illusion. And because of those lessons you've learned, you're more connected in with your intuition, and you've learned to maintain more balance within yourself between your emotionally loving, encouraging nature, and we have to be practical and grounded to deal with reality. And if I'm going to, as I move forward in my life and I get to know people, I can be willing to invest in people and get to know people, but I'm going to keep maintaining balance and listening to my intuition as I get to know people. And I might need to get to know them quite a bit in the Nine of Pentacles. That's like all the different truths before I'm willing to get in a more involved relationship with them, because I want a more just and fair, balanced relationship than I could have been in before. And it starts within me, maintaining balance within myself, because if I do have a propensity to get caught up in thinking everybody's loving, or everybody's motivated and inspired by love, or everybody's more stable and grounded, or everybody is who they present themselves as being, I've already learned that that's not the truth. So, you just get to know people to get to know the truth of who they are, and the people who want to keep putting in that work and effort to get to know you and work together with you will. And the people who are like, oh damn, this is just taking too much time, when are we going to move this forward to the next phase of a relationship, those people will fall off naturally on their own, because they probably didn't have good intentions anyway. And I think what the shadowy people don't see coming is some of the high vibe people in their life are going to detach from them. They're done. No more an illusion about them. Letting go of a dream. And there'll always be other people in their life and that come into their life. And these people, just like the high vibe people, could look very victorious and successful in a lot of ways, come across as loving, nurturing people. There'll be other people who need to come in contact with these people to learn these same valuable life lessons and decide if this is their truth, and they're willing to be in a relationship more for maybe the ego or the image or whatever, or if they're not. So God uses everyone for God's good purposes. Even the shadowy people help other people just decide, is this my truth or isn't this my truth? And eventually they might end up in a relationship with someone who is kind of more like them. They might not like it because they might get in a relationship with someone else who's kind of more superficial, shallow, creates the illusion that they're more motivated and inspired by truth and love, but it's just an illusion they create so people move forward with them in a relationship. And it could be someone who also wants to stay single, who, because if you're not in it for love, if you don't have someone else to be in a relationship with or that is more on the same page as you, so long as it's good for your ego and your image, you'll be in it. But if someone else comes along that has more status, ego, image, or more fear, or more insecurity, or more willing to indulge them, they'd get out of the relationship because it was just an illusion anyway. And for some of the people who got into a relationship trying to manipulate some high vibe people, some of those people might want to end that relationship, but their manipulation didn't work, and the high vibe people in their life, or the people they were trying to manipulate, moved on. They could be kind of sad about it, and they feel kind of stuck. But because they created this illusion about this relationship they got in, now some of them might have to keep moving forward in a relationship that they maybe never really wanted to be in to begin with. Well, that's some karma. And if there's someone who's more about their ego or their image or the money or the status or someone indulging them or just to be in a relationship, they might stay in it anyway, even though they really maybe don't want to be in it. And then they might have other people who stay in a relationship with them who really don't want to be in it. But because there isn't someone else and because of the ego and the image or the status, they're all moving forward in something that's dead, that looks good by the worldly image, but it's all just an illusion. And other people are moving forward in inspiring and loving lives and friendships and relationships. And they get the illusion, all because they were trying to stop loving people from loving and believing in themselves, because these people didn't want to deal with some of their past pain and heartbreak or being more about themselves to be inspired to move forward with the loving people in their life. And so when we choose to repeat an old pattern, it's probably not going to work out the way we thought. But then people who are more about creating this illusion or thinking I can manipulate people to get them to do what I want are probably going to just try it with someone else. And the high vibe people offer truth and love to it to get out of their ego about it and move on. They can go manipulate and create an illusion with someone else. I know the truth of who they are, and I'm moving on, and everyone else can watch them put on their show with someone else, because I know they're not very authentic. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.